Phil. I wanted to
Hi.
ask you something a little bit personal. Not too personal, but your brother always on Twitter is having these questions and joking, and he talks about you and the calls that you have. And I wanted to ask you, how is it for you, a help having your brother being a pundit now and seeing the game from that side for your experience here in the United States and your experience as a coach in this new league?
Well, I think he's my brother. He's my best friend, and that will never change. And I'd say that when I was at Manchester United as a coach with David Moyes, having my brother as probably one of the main pundits. He's probably one of the best pundits in world football. Not just in the Premier League. So having my brother as one of the most influential pundits commentating on the games that I was involved in, I think we both found it really hard. But it was no different than playing against each other. No different than that. When I played for Everton and he played for United, imagine how difficult that was for me and for my parents. So it's something that we'll always have to handle. But ultimately, he doesn't commentate on any MLS games, particularly the last two, because I think he would have had a lot to say about our defending. But I think in terms of sort of like the way that punditry's gone, in world football, you think about what's happened in England. You've got there's two, Andy Gray and Richard Keys, are two very pioneers of punditry, and but obviously ultimately Gary's took it onto another level in terms of what people are doing around the world is probably what Gary's been influencing in the Premier League, and I'm lucky out here because I watch the Premier League football. There's and the coverage from NBC is fantastic. Brilliant pundits, great detail. And I think punditry now is at a totally all different level, and I love listening to some of the American pundits, Stuart Holding, Alexi Lalas, the guys on ESPN, and I think punditry now is going up to a whole new level where they're educating the people on the street about the intricacies, the detail. They're not, you're not just talking about the goals. You're talking about how, why, when, and the feeling of what it's like to play in certain situations. So, is that the type of answer you was looking for?
Yes. Do you think it's a second one? I'm sorry. Do you think it's important to have players become pundits? Like an example, like you don't have to become a coach, but you become a pundit. You can always be
Yeah, I mean,
football. You and your brother.
I've been a pundit. And I've got to say that there's large parts of being a pundit that are fantastic. I'd say that when you're on my side of the fence now, I think what I really despise about that side is the pressure now to make statements, to make comments, to make I was going to say exaggerated type statements to get more hits on Twitter, to get more social media coverage, to get more headlines in the newspaper, to get more people to go to their channel. It's become real sensationalized. And I think now when I'm watching sort of like pundits, the need and the thirst for that big headline has become more important than the actual detail of actually what's going on in the game. And that's where I feel as if, where I don't particularly like it, and you don't experience it. I've been in the punditry world maybe 12, 13 months ago, where you don't probably feel it because you're in the bubble. But once you come out of it and you're on this side and you're seeing it from a management player's point of view, you see that the way that punditry is going, and ultimately they've got producers, directors in their ear telling them that they have to make sensationalized statements about things that are actually not that big, but we blow these things up. So that's the bit I don't like about punditry nowadays, is that there's so much pressure on pundits, on commentators to make something bigger than what it actually is. And I think just go back to just commentating on the game, giving the detail, giving the expert opinion. I don't know if you've watched Monday Night Football on a Monday night with my brother and Jamie Carragher. That is just football talk, and I think that's what football fans want to hear. Football talk, telling the person on the street that's never experienced stepping into the arena what it's actually like and why, because there's always a why, and get rid of all the BS around the big sensational headlines just for Twitter, just for social media.
Hot takes. It's all about hot takes now.
Yeah. And I've got to say, you guys are probably in the same boat in terms of the way that you write your articles have to be in a certain way to create more headlines, to get more people to your paper, and to get people more talking. And that is the way that the world is going. And you see it in politics, you see it in sport, you see it in everything. Do you know what I mean? And ultimately, and you saw it this weekend in the Ryder Cup, you saw, you know, Koepka and Deschambault, what have they had a disagreement? All of a sudden they hug each other, and all of a sudden it's all over every newspaper. When really, me and Franco had a disagreement 2 days ago. Do you know what I mean? And that's life. So, I mean, that's life, yeah.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, guys. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.